The young guys, I tell them all the time, I haven't told them, but I wonder, why when you start making big money, the next thing I do, I see you at the ringside with $250,000, $300,000.
Well, they ain't never had it, you know, right? And it's like, that's what they've been looking at when they didn't have it.
Here's a case of having men around you. Where's somebody to say, wait a minute, man, you can take this money, put yourself in a position where you can own the jewelry store.
Hey Floyd, do you think if you only have one arm, you would still manifest this life and success? You'd find a way to do it?
Man, I'll be cold-blooded with one arm. I'll be cold-blooded with two arms. And please get the necklaces for the ladies and gentlemen.
You gotta zoom in, man.
You know?
I've only seen CZs like that before.
No, these ain't no, my man.
I should have worn sunglasses.
You already know, ain't no CZs.
TMZ, Floyd says roughly $100 million worth of bling has handed over to a Miami jeweler for only $13 million in return. And he said a huge chunk of the collection is still sitting with the dealer. Floyd also says he unknowingly signed paperwork transferring ownership of his Gulfstream jet with a buyer section left blank, and says he still doesn't know where the aircraft money went.
We have all watched Floyd Mayweather open large cases filled with luxury watches worth millions, display backpacks packed with stacks of cash, and purchase collections of supercars using cash alone. But behind that impressive image, many people believe there is a much more complicated financial story. Some of the biggest voices in sports entertainment argue that the numbers simply do not seem to fit together. The real question is not only how much money he earned, but how quickly a billion-dollar empire can begin to weaken under the pressure of its own spending.
Ocho, with the lavish lifestyle that Floyd has built over the years, the jet entourage, non-stop spending, has he created a lifestyle that when he was making $200-400 million a year, he was able to enjoy? Has he created something that he can no longer keep up with?
Yeah, I think so, Unc, because if you think about Floyd obviously having to maintain the image of being Money Mayweather Joe.
Yeah.
Being at one point, being at Top's highest paid Forbes, top highest paid athlete at one point. The lifestyle that he did live, you understood once you stopped fighting, once you retired, regardless of what investments you made, there are no investments in this world, I don't care who you are, Uncle Joe, that you can make that can still accumulate that type of revenue that the sport that you play can. It's not that many. You gotta hit, you gotta get in good and hit it when it's hot, and it happens very seldom. It happens very seldom. So I hate this. I hate this for my young bull, man. I hate this for my young bull, Floyd. Hopefully this situation gets rectified, especially when it comes to having people around you, having other people in control of your finances. That's a no-no, Unc. Joe, that's a no-no.
Today, it is common to see world-class fighters sitting ringside wearing custom diamond chains worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, Hunter argues that those expensive pieces quickly lose value over time. He believes that instead of putting money into luxury jewelry, athletes could invest in several income-producing properties that create lasting wealth for future generations. According to him, many athletes lock away their money in expensive status symbols instead of building stable investments. He warns that one serious injury or one bad night in the ring can instantly change everything.
The young guys, I tell them all the time, I haven't told them, but I wonder, why when you start making big money, the next thing I do, I see you at the ringside with $250,000, $300,000.
Well, they ain't never had it, you know, and it's like, that's what they've been looking at when they didn't have it.
Here's a case of having men around you. Where's somebody to say, wait a minute, man, you can take this money, put yourself in a position where you can own the jewelry store over a period of time, and then you can wear everything free, like Johnny Dang, right? He owns the jewelry store, so he can bling up anytime he wants to, any which way he wants to, because he owns it. You got something around your neck that's going to depreciate, right, in time. So you take that 300 and you can go get 4 or 5 houses, put 50,000 on houses in certain neighborhoods, and now you got income coming, equity building, and everything like that. It's none of my business, but it does affect me in a way when I see value around your neck. When I see generational wealth being put around your neck and hung up in the closet somewhere when you're not doing it. I see generational wealth.
When a person's entire reputation depends on being the richest man in every room, living a simple or modest lifestyle becomes almost impossible. That pressure creates a never-ending cycle where constantly showing wealth becomes necessary just to protect the public image that has already been created.
When you go buy, a Bentley, or something like that, you see?
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it,
But
yeah.
that's the tricky part. Can you afford it?
Can you afford it?
You know?
Not the flaw. So, but it's a short sport, it's a short game. It can end at any time.
Straight up.
Anytime. I don't care how good you are, anything, one wrong move.
Just be an injury.
Wrong punch in the wrong place, and it's a wrap. You see, and you never recover from that. So, no, I appreciate when you got out, and I don't ever have to look back. You know, I used to tell you, I don't never want to be an old coach on a stump, sitting somewhere talking about, man, I should have done this because I allowed somebody to keep going and getting brain damage. I don't care who it is. If I got guys in here now and they don't look like they got it, I'm gonna tell them. I don't care if you got $1 million payday on the table. I'm gonna tell you, because I'm not gonna sell out to money.
Yeah.
You know, I care about you. You're in a sport that you can get hurt, killed, or affect not only you, but your family and everything else. You know, so take the sport serious because it's a serious sport. It's a deadly sport. And then when you have ability and you're going through the routines and everything is shining your way, still something can show up out of nowhere. There's always somebody that's your kryptonite. Always somebody that's your kryptonite. And usually you meet them at the time that your skills are eroding.
This constant pressure to maintain that lifestyle eventually leads to major tax problems that many fans never notice. Chael Sonnen and Joe Rogan both challenge the idea of the perfect billionaire athlete by explaining how fighter earnings really work. They say the huge numbers announced in the media are often far different from the money that actually reaches a fighter after promotional costs, management fees, and business deductions are removed. The biggest problem comes when tax authorities demand their share. A fighter may believe paying $25 million to the IRS settles everything, only to later discover another $50 million is still owed. According to them, this is not always intentional, but often happens because of poor financial planning and the belief that another huge fight will solve every problem.
Which I don't know if Mike is, but most fighters aren't. Most fighters concentrate on fighting. Mm-hmm. To be business-minded, that's a giant distraction. You got to pay attention to all this other shit. On top of that, it's generally not how they think.
Right.
You know? I mean, look at Floyd. Like, Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like, he's got a tap. Just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made as much, if not more money than any boxer ever, like, there's all these lawsuits. Like, he hasn't been paying things, and he owes money on this and owes money on that. And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think it's just the lifestyle that Floyd lived.
Yes.
I think he can't fathom to just live a modest lifestyle. It's like he gotta be lavish.
Right. He's got to have those videos where he shows you all the watches, where he opens the case up, you know.
All the money. He gotta show that he got $1 million in his backpack. And, you know, he got the latest watch and the latest car, and look what I just bought.
And when you get into latest watches and latest cars, you get into that shit. Like, boy, that money goes quick.
Yeah.
Bugattis are like $3 million. There's watches that are $3-5 million. That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10. Mm-hmm. That's nuts. That's nuts.
Crazy.
I remember Iran Barkley was talking about that.
The financial situation appears even more complicated when looking behind the scenes at reports involving loans, debts, and leveraged assets. Despite the public image of unlimited wealth, several reports claim there are major unpaid financial obligations. Critics point to allegations that the boxing star owes more than $1 million for luxury jewelry, along with large unpaid amounts connected to private apartment rentals and expensive private jet fuel and maintenance costs.
When he was in his prime, was hanging out with all these professional athletes, and everybody was getting diamond-crusted chains and this and that, and he was keeping up with these people. Like, you got to keep up with the Joneses. And he just found himself, like, draining all of his money. He was talking about it like that was the biggest detriment to him being able to save any money.
They trying to keep up.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny when I was listening to this conversation with Chad Ochocinco. He was talking about it. He was like,
his jewelry fake.
Yeah, he was wearing fake jewelry.
But who would know?
What's that?
Who would know?
No
Chad
one know.
Ochocinco.
Exactly.
It's
fake
like when
jewelry,
they look at him, like
flying economy. He was sleeping at the stadium, like, so he didn't have to pay for an apartment. So smart.
Yeah.
So clever, you know? But that's a guy like preparing. Like,
Ain't nobody gonna question him. You know,
exactly.
They know, oh man, this NFL star, he got money.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not going to question if his diamond's real or not.
Well, you really can't tell.
Right.
I can't. I mean, you can't tell until you get a magnifying glass on them.
Or that's why they say we got these diamond testers.
Yeah.
They want to test your diamonds now. Like,
even more surprising are reports explaining how large amounts of cash were reportedly secured. According to those reports, a $54 million loan was obtained from a billionaire with a high 9% interest rate. To receive that money, valuable properties, luxury businesses, and a private jet were allegedly offered as collateral. When someone must use their most valuable assets to obtain cash, many observers believe it becomes much harder to ignore possible financial problems.
Of course he's broke. He's a boxer. Did they say can't read? That's not to tease him. They say that he can't read. His best friend at the time said that he can't read, and he never denied it. I don't tease him for it. He was a guy who grew up in a boxing gym, right? I mean, it's one of these things. You know what you know. You know what you were taught. I didn't teach him about contracts. I didn't teach him about saving. I didn't teach him about investments. Who would have taught him these things? Of course he's broke. He's a gambling addict. He's got baby mamas all over the... What do you mean is he broke? Of course he's broke. What boxer do you know that isn't broke? What a ridiculous question. But it's the fact that they're attempting to tease him. I mean, first off, they're asking the question. Look, I've told you until I'm blue in the face. The numbers that you hear in boxing simply aren't true. Floyd made $1 billion. No, he didn't. Floyd and Conor made $500 million. No, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Nobody's ever confirmed that. Literally nobody. It's the same thing with boxing pay-per-view. Whatever boxing pay-per-view is the biggest boxing pay-per-view of all time is just whoever put out the press release and lied more than the person before them. These have never been confirmed by leadership of a publicly traded company. Who is the one that supplies the pay-per-view? It is illegal for them to lie. You have never heard Time Warner. You've never heard Cox. You've never heard DirecTV. You have never heard an executive come out and confirm any of the absurd pay-per-view numbers that you believe to be true. And it's the same thing with the check. I got $100 million for a fight. Oh, you did? Who signed the check? Whoever signed the check is going to want credit for it. There's never been a time that $1 million check was written and the dude that wrote the check didn't make sure that somebody found out he wrote the check. So who wrote the check? Floyd's got a whole bunch of them, apparently. He got $1 billion. Who wrote the check? And I'm only sharing with you, like, the numbers aren't what you think they are, right? The numbers are good and they made a lot of money, but it's not what you think it is. And yeah, of course, Floyd.
Those financial concerns have reportedly expanded into major legal battles. Early in 2026, Mayweather attracted attention across the sports business world after filing a reported $340 million lawsuit against Showtime networks and several former executives while seeking another massive financial payout outside the boxing ring. At the same time, Business Insider reported that several commercial properties connected to him had already faced foreclosure proceedings. Reports also claimed that his well-known Las Vegas strip club building risked seizure because of unpaid property taxes.
So he's gotten money up front that he needed desperately. Again, I know people don't want to hear this, but he's bleeding money. Why do you think he sued Showtime, Al Heyman, Steven Espinoza? Why do you think these are happening, people? He's selling property. He just sold his Beverly Hills mansion. You have a jeweler suing him for $1.4 million. Financially, he is bleeding money. And this is something that's been happening for years, by the way. I actually made a video years back about Floyd possibly going broke, and people are like, oh, he's not going broke, Jay. What do you call this? What's going on with him and his behaviors? He felt like, he's made a lot of money, but he also felt like he was cheated out of money. You know why? See, you never notice money is missing until you start losing money, and when your money starts to run low, you realize I should have more than what I have. That's when you start seeing the lawsuits. He doesn't want to fight. This is just a
The financial controversy becomes even more complicated when examining problems involving Mayweather's promotional businesses, which have turned normal business disagreements into personal disputes. One major example is the ongoing conflict with digital creator Logan Paul over a reported $1.3 million payment dispute following their exhibition fight. While many critics place responsibility on Mayweather, others argue the situation is far more complicated because the promotional company responsible for handling the payments reportedly shut down, leaving those expecting payment frustrated and without answers.